They're here with an incredibly strong team. As you said, two main leaders, I think, but also like Little Trek, Jaco Lula. They're all here with strong teams. And also we can't forget the Conti teams. I mean, it's a great chance for the smaller teams to try and show what they can do.
This, in fact, we do have 7 World Tour teams competing here in the Tour of Austria. We do have 1 pro team and, as you said, 12 Conti teams with also 4 or a few Austrian strong, really strong teams, especially Rinkhoff at Varex. It is the hometown for those teams here with Steyr. And yeah, we do see the start list, but now let's just check a bit the details of today's stage. We do have 167 Ks waiting for the athletes with 2,400 meters in elevation gain, and it is some spicy ones in there.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool course today. Like, there are not many parts of the road which are completely flat. It's a very hilly course, so I think we can look forward to some racing action today.
With all the teams lined up there before the big start in Steyr. It is the Iron City. It is, yeah, the most famous. It's the first largest city in Upper Austria. And as I said before, it is the home of Rinko at Varex professional cycling team. And also the 2 owners of that team designed that track for our athletes. Formed and ready to go. You have Binotti in front with 4 athletes, as you can see here. Then, as I said, Jaco Lula, Team Vorarlberg, VSA, KTM, Graz, EF Education first, Easy Post. It is an incredible lineup. And the big question today, who is going to secure those precious points like sprint or the mountain classifications? We have 3 mountain classifications in the category 2 here, and also 3 sprint classifications. waiting for them, already won after 14 Ks. So this is going to be also like a good starting ground for our athletes here.
Yeah, we had a bit of a fight already in the first couple of kilometers to get a breakaway going. Then a couple of riders did get up the road and they went to the first sprint.
And there was that battle between those athletes here with some tricky conditions, like we have huge, a strong wind from the side and also some strong wind from the head. So it is a tricky one, slippery roads sometimes. And yeah, the Tour of Austria, it's the 74th edition. It is one of a kind lineup. And we're just waiting for them to show us what they can do on those Austrian roads here 2025. And here we are looking to the peloton with those athletes. 131K. We had already the second sprint classification in Micheldorf, and here we have Jensen Plowright, Alpecin de Koenig in front of Alexander Konichev team Vorarlberg, securing those important points.
Yeah, interesting that the break's being brought back already actually from the peloton, because I think we had 5 or 6 riders already up the road with a 30-second gap that they've seemed to be brought back already. So we've got the break fight on again.
We had Matteo Basecchio, Alexander Konichev, Albert Gaveman, Artur Sawinski and Konrad Walnicek. The 5 riders you mentioned were able to open up a gap of about 30 seconds here. 58 minutes in the race, and with incredible drone footage here, you can see how, like, the main field is stretched in a long way here.
Yeah, there's definitely some high tempo on the front here. So obviously all the Conti team riders are going to try and get into a breakaway and try and show the World Tour teams what they can do.
So, in fact, let's talk a little bit about the tactics here in the opening stage. It is a bit a hilly one, so it is probably for every athlete, GC riders or sprint performers and also climbers, something in it. But as you can see here, we have another breakaway attempt, but they are able to close the gap here. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 headstrong group here. But just to come back to the team tactics, what would you say it is in the first stage?
Well, I would say the Conti teams, as I said before, were definitely trying to get into the breakaway. I don't think the World Tour teams will necessarily try and get into that break, but they will definitely keep the break on a short leash and not let too many riders get up the road. So maybe a 6-man breakaway, maximal 8-man breakaway will be able to get away. And yeah, then the World Tour teams will just keep them under control. And I reckon the last 30 to 40K, there will be some proper racing going on, because we hit some bigger climbs, especially the last climb, the Porscheberg. That will be a very interesting fight. And
the Porscheberg do have a very interesting nickname. It is the Executioner, which is like a climb about 4.3K with 1.3K with 150 vertical meters and 11.3% in total. But the steepest part in it is 19.9%. And this is going to be like 4 minutes and 30 is right now, because we did a little bit of research here on Strava. So 4 minute, 0.30, it is the actual record up to the Porscheberg. But last year, we also had here some incredible fightings with some strong performances already. But let's go back there to the race. We have Tim Baffler in the Austrian national champion jersey here, doing a bit of a, leading work there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see two KTM Tyrol riders try to get into this break now, so they're definitely hungry to get up the road.
We also have Rinkov at Varex in it, SC Padovani, the Italian team, and like before, we always seen a strong performance already from the team Benotti Berthold, and here was Albert Gaveman, the man who was a bit of a playing a deciding role in the early case today.
Yeah, but you can just see what a fight it is to actually get off the front here. I mean, Tim Baffler is an incredibly strong rider on the track as well, and yeah, it's just incredibly hard to get off the front here.
Yeah, having a European Championship medal hanging at home, and he is also like highly motivated after his victory at the national championships 2 weeks ago in Burgenland. There was also a good fight going on between him, Michi Gogel, and Felix Großschartner.
Yeah. I mean, UAE Team Emirate will probably just stay in the peloton for now, and they'll just keep this breakaway under control, well, when a breakaway goes. But we can see the pace is pretty high. The riders are struggling a tiny little bit at the back here.
Yeah. See VSA here with the number 102. It is Philipp Hofbauer here at the end. In front of him is one of the team, Coupe Repsol, Broholm Follner. And here we have the number of the athlete who unfortunately had a tragic crash last year, André Träge with the 171 from the team Coupe Repsol.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows that cycling is a dangerous sport, and yeah, I mean, tragic what happened there last year.
Yeah. It was at the King stage up to the Großglockner, and here we are trying again to a little bit build up the speed here in the peloton, maybe to try to test out the other competitors. And again, one of the Tyrol KTM cycling team is here with a leading tone there.
I think the wind will also play a big role in today's stage, because at the beginning we're going to have headwind, and that headwind then turns into side winds as the riders do a slight left on the course. So obviously the wind, if you've got headwind, it's easier to sit in the bunch than to be out the front in a breakaway.
But they're always, every second so far, athletes trying to gain a little bit more space between them and the peloton. And we can just look a little bit onto the teams that I said before. 20 teams in total. There are 138 athletes here on that tour. We do have overall the stages, like 5 stages, 714k, with nearly 14,000 meters in elevation gain. We're coming all the way from Upper Austria to Salzburg to Tyrol, and with the last stage in Vorarlberg. And UAE especially, they sent their A-team.
Pretty much their A-team. I mean, obviously the likes of Tadej Pogačar are racing the Tour de France at the moment, but Felix Großschartner, Isaac Del Toro just came second in the Giro, gave us an amazing showdown there. So yeah, I mean, it's quite incredible how strong the team of UAE is.
Also Filippo Baroncini, Italian under-23 national champion 2024, third overall in the Giro Next Gen 2024. He is a young GC prospect and also capable of winning some stages here.
Yeah. Also, like, it's lovely to see these young riders maybe given a shot at the GC in these bigger tours. I mean, that's the only way you can learn, really.
But as we are here in Austria, let's stick a little bit to Felix Großschartner. He is one of the main GC contender next to Isaac del Toro, or also from Ineos. Ineos, they also sent an incredible strong team to Austria, but we don't see UAE here up in the front. They're like in the middle of the peloton, always like a little bit in a waiting position.
Yeah, I think they're just going to be saving their energy at the moment, letting all the Conti teams fight it out. And I mean, I reckon that there has to be a break that goes today. And as I said, when that break's gone, UAE will then come to the front and just control it to make sure that their gap doesn't go over maybe 4 to 5 minutes. But we've got an interview here from Alpecin de Koenigsegg.
Ja, top. Ich freue mich auf ein Rennen in heimischen Gefilden und bin sehr motiviert.
Wie wird es heute? Wir haben gehört, Windkante könnte ein Thema werden. Es wird sehr technisch, sehr schwer.
Windkante denke ich nicht, weil es ist sehr geschützt sozusagen. Also immer wieder Bäume und Hügel im Weg vom Wind. Und auf die ersten 40 Kilometer wird keiner Windkante aufziehen. Und natürlich im Finale wird der Wind eine Rolle spielen, insofern, weil auf den Anstiegen ist Rückenwind und das macht es natürlich für Nicht-Bergfahrer wie mich ein bisschen härter.
Hast du den ausländischen Teams schon was voraus? Wir haben alle Angst vor der Windkante, haben wir heute schon gehört. Wie ist die Stimmung zu Hause fahren? Ein Traum.
Ja, natürlich. Also ja, die Stimmung ist jetzt schon super und ich glaube, nachher wird noch mehr los sein.
It is
und ja,
a good one to race at home, and the fans here in the start area are already heated up, and it is an incredible show here for the cycling sport in Austria. $150K to go, and also not just some spicy uphills in there, so also some tricky road conditions with some constructions on the track. But as we know, they are all pro athletes here and knew how to deal with that situation, also with ongoing traffic, and again back in the peloton. And it is still Tirol KTM cycling here.
And they've even got 3 riders up the front now, Tirol. So yeah, definitely a very big fight to get into the breakaway today. But it's great to see some racing. Oh, there's actually a gap that's opened up now.
Yeah.
But there are quite a few riders in this group. I'm not quite sure how many riders UAE will really want to, or generally all the World Tour teams would like to give a gap to up to the breakaway, because if they have got 14 men, for example, in the break, then it will take a lot of power to bring them back.
But they don't let them off the leash. As you said before, we have 2 other riders trying to close the gap between them and that group up in front. And here is Astana XTS with, I guess,
so let's see how big the gap is to the peloton now. Or are they already in full chase mode? But look, KTM, Tirol KTM have got 3 riders up there, I think I can see.
And the important thing, as you have to say here at the Tirol KTM cycling team, they are mainly under 23 riders.
Yep.
So it is a really young team with pretty talented athletes in there, like Tim Waffler is there, and as the captain we have Marco Schrettel, Jakob Pucella, David Paumann.
Yeah, of course, Marco Schrettel just won the under-23 Austrian Championships.
And right now with the number 87, Ricardo Seudl. It was the last winner of the Tour of Austria, Austrian winner of the Tour of Austria 2013. In chat with Michi Gogl, another Austrian.
It looks like the tempo's been reduced a little bit at the back here as they're having a nice chat, but the front of the group, oh, they're putting the hammer down.
Oh, they're pushing hard.
Yeah.
You can see Emanuel Zangale, team Vorarlberg. also the strong Austrian Conti teams are like really setting themselves into the spotlight here at the first stage of the Tour of Austria. And also you can see it a bit on the trees there. We have a bit of a tailwind going on there on that long stretch here.
Yeah.
Towards Micheldorf. Because there is another sprint classification waiting for them. And as you can see here, they opened up quite a gap.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a gap there. Yeah.
What would you say? 30 up to 40? 30 seconds?
Yeah, I'd say it looks a bit... Yeah, 30 seconds. But that's quite a big break that they've let go, actually. So it'll be interesting to see what happens now in the peloton.
Well, maybe they just let them go and score those sprint classifications and then closing it again. Right now it is dry, no rain, cold temperature. Actually the perfect race conditions here.
Yeah, not too hot. I mean, last couple of weeks have been very hot, haven't they? I mean, racing in 35 degrees heat under the sun can be an extra challenge. But it's not raining, so that's nice to see.
Jakob Pucella here, Tirol KTM cycling team, is a bit fighting to keep the connection to that leading group here.
Yeah.
Or is he like just let them do the work right now?
No, I think the whole breakaway will try and work together. It's obviously a very big breakaway. Sometimes that can be a bit, or can't be too much of an advantage, because if the breakaway is too big, then a couple of riders might start saying, no, I'm gonna skip a turn right now, and then the whole dynamic stops working and the gap will then quickly reduce. But if they all work well together, then they could get a decent gap.
So 3 Austrian Conti teams are in there, and with that person right now with the number 42 is Hector Alvarez.
I think we can see that the pace in the peloton's been reduced quite a bit as they're all having a little toilet break on the bike.
And they let them go here. Well, we have 2 athletes from Team Vorarlberg, 2 from 3, actually from Tirol KTM. And Astana is in there. Benotti is in there with Patrick Reisig. You see here. So mainly right now the Conti teams are setting the tone, and also Unibet, Team Rockets, the only pro team here in the field. So the World Tour teams, let them do the work right now a bit.
Yeah, they'll be sitting in the peloton and just keeping an eye on the gap. It'd be interesting to see what the gap is right now. I'm not quite sure. But we have got a mountain classification coming up in roughly 15 kilometers.
Let's keep an eye onto the map here for a moment.
Yeah, we've got a Cat 2 climb coming up.
Yeah.
The top is at 94.5k to go. And it's a 2.1 kilometer K climb with 154 meters elevation, averaging 7.4% and maxing out at 10.9. So definitely a climb where you can set a high tempo and where riders might be suffering. Now, it would be interesting to know the gap to the peloton.
Matthias Gusner we have here right now with the 101 from WSA KTM team, also an Austrian Conti team. And already 1 hour and 16 minutes in the race, and we have huge wind on that side. It is pretty strong headwind already.
Yeah, you can probably see it in the trees, can't you? And they're moving.
Oh.
Ah, there you go. You can see the whole UAE team Emirates have been forced to control.
Yeah. Also see one of Little Trek. Then on the left side have Jayco Elula. So right now they're controlling the tempo of the peloton. Let's talk a bit of a tactical point of view right now from UAE Team Emirates. What is the purpose of bringing all their riders up front of the peloton? What you would?
I mean, UAE have obviously come here with general classification goals, and I assume also to race and win the stages. So they don't want to let the break get too far up the road. So they'll just bring the whole team to the front and just set a hard pace to keep that gap under control. And that's just the whole point of teamwork in cycling world. You know, you've got a whole team, they'll be riding for their main GC riders in the front, on the front, in the wind. And yeah, just keeping that gap under control. And then within the last 40k, they'll start properly putting the hammer down. And then we'll see how far maybe the break can stay out today. That would also be interesting.
And those two here are trying to close the gap to those pretty strong leading group. It was Ricard Riska from Rinko at Varex and also Federico Guzzo from the team SC Padovano. And now you can see the pace.
Yeah.
91. Going down that little downhill here. Now we have those.
So we have 5 Austrians in the breakaway.
Yep.
That's nice to see.
Feuerstein, Gusner, Paumann, Zangale, Bucella. So performing really well on the early hours actually here at the stage 1.
Obviously a bit to go. Another 4 stages after today. But
and another 4 stages and another 4 intense ones. Like with the Queen stage coming up on Saturday up to the Kütai with some spicy horse categories in there. So with the highest mountain classifications.
Yeah, that's got to be one for the pure climbers.
Yeah, for sure. And here we have, like, it is a perfect stage for the overall GC contenders. Actually, we do have some sprint in it, we have some mountains in it, we have some really hilly road map here, road characteristics.
Yeah, I'd say today is an important day for the GC, but it's not a decisive day.
No.
It's a day where you can definitely lose the GC, obviously, the GC battle, and get lose time. But it definitely isn't a decisive day. That's probably going to be safe for the Kütai day.
But it is a day for all those young riders to set a statement, to set an early statement, for them to perform or to set themselves a bit into the spotlight.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it would be really interesting where we are right now with the gap between the leaders and the peloton. UAE, then Jayco Elula, then we have EF Education first, easy post. Here also bringing all their riders up front.
Yeah, because they obviously UAE Team Emirates are probably here the strongest teams out of all the teams, but out of the World Tour teams. But it's not just down to them to keep this gap under control, because it is the first day. The general classification hasn't been decided yet. So I think all the World Tour teams will need to be worked together a bit here.
But now we have the gap 1 minute and 20 seconds between the leaders and the peloton.
So they have got a gap, but UAE are already on the front.
Yeah. So they're closing.
Riding. Just keeping that gap under control.
Yeah. So the tour here is organized by those Austrian Conti teams, which is Team Vorarlberg, then we have Tirol KTM Cycling, VSA, and for sure Rinkhoff at Varix. Those are the 4 teams behind that spectacular Tour of Austria 2025 with, like Felix Großschartner already said, it is probably the most famous lineup we've seen so far here at the Tour of Austria. Starting from 1949, just have to think about it. It's 74 years of racing here in Austria with a little gap, as we all know, those pretty hard Corona years there, but a long tradition of racing here in Austria.
Yeah, it's great to see that teams come here with their A teams and try to put on a good show. So yeah, really exciting racing we've got ahead of us. And also cool or great for the Conti teams that they can race against the World Tour riders and against the A team or the really good World Tour riders, so they can properly see where they are and how far they've got to go to get to the top.
So we always talk about that strong lineup, but let's just look onto the main contenders here. We do have Laurent Deplu from Ineos Grenadiers here, then Alessandro Covi, Marcin Pudinsky, also Patrick Conrad with a Tour de France stage win in 2021. It was stage 16 to Le Puy-en-Velay. Then he is also an Austrian national champion 2022, Raphael Majka, 2 times winner of the King of the Mountain of the Tour de France 2014, 2016. Vuelta stage wins, Tour de France stage wins, Polish national champ. And he probably is here as a domestique for like Isaac Del Toro or Felix Großschartner, but for sure also with the ability to secure a stage win here.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think UAE, as we've said quite often already, but they're here with such an incredibly strong team. They've probably got quite a few riders who could go for the GC here. But yeah, there's domestique work that has to be done. And Raphael Majka is definitely a good rider for that. So we've got 10k to go to the foot of the Rosleiten climb. To be interesting. All the breakaways, they'll probably just ride a solid pace up it. As we can see, one of the riders here calling up the team cars. So the gap's at a minute 20. The team cars probably aren't allowed to come forwards yet. Normally, they're allowed to come up when the gap is around a minute. So that's for the race director to decide when the team cars are allowed to come past the peloton and go behind the breakaway riders.
Alexander Konichev from Team Vorarlberg was in the chat with the race officials right now, but was like falling out of the leading group here. 102k, and current situation, yeah, we do have Nicolas Vinokurov, Pirmin Benz, Kilian Feuerstein, Emanuel Zangerle, Matthias Gusner, Matthew Dodd, David Paulman, Jakob Furcella, Patrick Reisig and Kalle Kvam here representing Norway from here in that strong group. But there's also something going on here in the peloton. It is stretched again pretty long here.
Yeah, they're definitely riding. They're not letting this breakaway get out too far.
But right now, UAE, Jayco, Elula, EF.
The gap's around a minute 20, a minute 30. It's been around that for the last 10k roughly. So, yeah, they're not getting much time today, the break, at the moment.
And that one in front has to be, I'm not quite sure, but it is, I guess, Alessandro Corvi here, setting a bit the tone. Then Jayco Elula with the complete team formed.
Yeah.
There.
We also saw a team car go up just then. And the two riders at the moment, so we can see now I've got 40 seconds. So they're right in the middle.
It is probably the main task right now for the peloton to close that gap to the chasers. What you would say, or
I would say they'll be happy leaving the breakaway out. They just want to keep it under control, definitely. Because when there's a breakaway out, there's not as hectic then in the peloton, you know, because you got that group away. But those two riders, those two chasers with 40 seconds, they'll want to close that gap as quickly as possible. We've got tailwind, as we can see, on the flags. So.
But isn't it quite a challenging task for them to close that nearly minute gap to the leaders here?
Yeah.
As you know that there's a ton of vertical meters waiting for them in the final part, in the final case of the stage.
Yeah, it's definitely a big task because there are 11 riders, I think, at the front working quite well together. And there are two at the back, just trying to close this gap. But if they make it, then they will be able to get a little bit of a break and sit on the back for a minute or two, and then they'll start taking their turns on the front.
We have a little close up there to the equipment. Equipment is also huge part here on that stage, because you have to be sorted pretty well for every situation, also sprint and also for the mountains. As you are, as a current leader of the National League here in Austria, you pretty much know what it is important on that sort of a stage, equipment-wise.
Equipment-wise, I'm not quite sure. I reckon all the Conti teams will have one bike that they'll be using for races. The World Tour teams might have come here with two different options between the aero bike and the climbing bike. I reckon today they would have chosen, or they would have gone for the aero bike, just because it's quite windy and we've got 2,400 meters of climbing, but over nearly 170k, so they're quite hilly climbs. There's a maximum of 250 meters at once, otherwise it's all just quite hilly. So yeah, and you can see all the riders from, quite a few of the riders from Jayco Elula have gone for the aero helmet. Also from the UAE Team Emirates, they've gone for the aero helmet today.
Also Little Trek.
Also Little Trek, yeah, just in a bit further back in the peloton, but they're also gone for the aero helmets. Also interesting, we've got an Astana rider, XD Astana rider in the front breakaway here, which is a World Tour team.
Yeah.
So maybe that's also a reason why the break isn't allowed much more time than 1 minute 30.
But he is all alone there, without any help of his fellow teammates, and as we also know, the followers, or like the chasers here, are one from SC Padovano and one from Rinkhoff at Varex.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here Just getting a little bit of info. Alexander Konichev is waiting for the peloton. Just fell out of the leading group, and now we're right now under 100K here.
So we've got a couple of K to go, and then we get to the 2.1 kilometer climb, the Cat 2. And on this Cat 2 climb, there are some points up for grabs, 8, 6, and 2 for the climbing mountain jersey. It's a similar jersey to the polka dot in the Tour de France, which it doesn't look like a polka dot here in the Tour of Austria.
It's a bit more white and orange there.
White and orange, yeah.
White and orange. But as he already said, from Astana, it's, he is an expert in hills, and Climber maybe setting him there in a good position to secure the first or some of the first mountain points here. We don't have any fifth at the Presidential Cycling Tour of Turkey here in the stage 2.
And came fourth in the national championships.
Yeah.
So
representing Kazakhstan, and also in the time trial, also with a 5th position there, Nicolas Vinokurov.
Yeah, that's where he came 5th in the Tour of Turkey. It looks like it was also quite a hilly stage with a couple of climbs, so it could be a interesting contender to be in the breakaway today. But as we can see, the gap is at 1:15, so they're really not letting them
off the leash.
Off the leash here, no.
It is getting a bit more cloudy here in Upper Austria. Maybe, like where the forecast says, it could be like a 60% chance of rain in the afternoon. So also maybe just keep an eye a little bit on that. And here, the leading group with the chats here, we have 193 from a Foster ATS team. It is Zach Coleman here also in that breakaway group. And Jakob Purcell seems to be out of water.
Yeah, the breakaway suddenly stopped working a bit now, haven't they? They're having chats, and one rider has just gone off the front a bit, getting a bit fed up with the chitter chatter.
But as he said, like the supporter cars are probably not allowed to go to the leading group.
No, because normally it's when the gap's at 30 seconds, a neutral service car is allowed to go to the back or pass the peloton and drive behind the race director. And when the gap's over a minute and not hanging around a minute or a minute 15 like we are now, but when it's a minute going out to 2, then the team cars will come to the front and can support the riders.
So yeah, as we can see it in the POI Geisregel category 2, 2.1k, 7.1%, maxing out to, as you said, 10.
Yeah, maxing out to 10.9. Yeah, in the middle of the climb, and then it's at 10.5% at the end of the climb as well. So
having no water in there, like being nearly 60k here already in the race, nutrition is a huge part. So
yeah, I mean, for sure, especially at stage races, it's just crucial to keep the fluids up and keep the carbs coming into the body. So yeah, they're going to be eating around 90 to 120 grams of carbs an hour, maybe even more, depending how much their body can tolerate and how much they can even digest. But it's just crucial to keep the the fueling going from minute 0 or from K0, because it's a 5-day stage race, and if you don't fuel properly on the first day, then you'll properly notice it on the last day.
And we do have 167k of real racing, but we had a 4k neutralized zone in the beginning of it. So in total, we are 171k long stage of the Tour of Austria. And now we're right now coming up to that first mountain classification.
Yeah, so we're 70k into the race, and the average speed so far is 40.5 kilometers an hour. So they're not hanging around.
They're not hanging around. They're not
altitude reached.
Trying to change that one into a coffee right here. They're working pretty hard up front here, and also the gap is shrinking. Not fast, but it is shrinking between those two. 1 minute and 7 seconds right now. The gap between the peloton and the leaders, and now they are in the climb.
Yep, they are definitely in the climb, and it will be interesting to see who's going to go for these points.
Yeah, and those two we said earlier before, the chasers, like I guess, or I believe I've seen Richard Rischka here in that leading group. So they were able to close the gap here. So now they are not 11 anymore, they are 13 athletes in that leading group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, because Alexander Konichev was falling out there and waiting for the peloton here. So we do have 12 athletes here, but also seeing a bit a struggle here with Rinkov, and the other one must be an athlete from Tyrol KTM Cycling.
Yeah, it looks like they're putting on a high tempo. I think it's Tyrol KTM actually riding at the front of the race, and the rider from Astana is in third wheel at the moment.
Yeah.
So we're
up in front. I believe it is one from Team Vorarlberg, and second is KTM, then Astana.
And amazing helicopter shots we've got here.
It is amazing, like the footage.
Austrian roads.
And it is the first time here in the history of Tour of Austria to having that incredible race also broadcasted in English all around the world, even though, especially as Isaac Del Toro representing Mexico is taking part here at the Tour of Austria, we also were able to send the stream all the way to Mexico.
Yeah, definitely cool. I mean, just look at that. Oh, look, that's a beautiful view where you can see the peloton on the right and the breakaway on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
It's obviously a hairpin that they've just gone around. And so, yeah, minute 6:50 the gap. And it looks like the team cars are behind the breakaway now. So that's also great for the riders. You know, if they need something, they can just put their hand up and get a bottle, get a gel, get a bar from the team car.
And still, Alessandro Covi from UAE Team Emirates. But here we are.
Ooh.
There's something happening.
We're at the top. Let's see who's going to get these KOM points.
It is Astana.
Yes.
Yeah.
A rider from Astana, and second over the line was Tyrol KTM. So that is 8 points for Nicolas
Vinokurov.
Yes.
8 points added to the balance.
So he is in the virtual mountain classification jersey, as that was the first mountain classification of the Tour of Austria.
Damien Benz, Kilian Feuerstein, so free of Team Vorarlberg here in that leading group, and Jaco Elula working up front with one from UAE.
So we've got around 45k until the next climb, which is the Polsterer Kogel.
Polsterer Kogel. And there's one in there with incredible calm set yesterday.
Yeah.
Taking is here in the peloton. Sean Quinn from EF Education First Easy Post just set a new calm on Polsterer Kogel with 11 minutes and 3 seconds. So this is like a little pin to hang on for that thing's coming up. And as you also can see from the aerial footage here, EF Education Easy Post also set their whole team here up front in the peloton. And it's just one of UAE working. I don't know where the rest of them are.
Yeah, the rest will be just in the group, in the main peloton, just saving their energy. It doesn't look too... Yeah, look, they're going uphill. So there's not much road furniture. They don't have to be at the front, so just saving as much energy as possible. So that's now the peloton over the KOM, and it's 1:38 now, the gap.
Yeah, here Lidl Trek, complete Ineos, Coop Repsol, Team Vorarlberg, Penotti, WSA, and back to the leaders, and the gap just build up a little bit, 1 minute and 55, nearly 2 minutes. Because they really put an easy, they put it easy on the first come here, the peloton. Just let them go a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they've still got 93k of racing to go, so they won't be stressing, I don't think.
Yeah, with the beautiful view to the Großer Priel in the a bit far away here. So, Vorderstoder. We had already the Rossleiten, it was the mountain category. Well known for the alpine forestry here. As we were able to see, there are a lot of trees and farming and incredible fields here, alpine farming, and now they are on the way to Hinterstoder. It is not just a venue for incredible cycling sports, it is also a venue for Ski World Cup in the winter. And it is the only Austrian Ski World Cup venue in Upper Austria. Giving a little view onto the moto cockpit, 77 kilometers per hour.
Just beautiful roads there, and also the road surface looks incredibly nice to ride on, especially. Not when you've got big potholes in the middle of the road. It's a bit uncomfortable for the riders.
And it is for sure a well-planned first stage here of the Tour of Austria by Alexander and Dominik Rinkhoff, two Rinkhoff brothers, and also part of the Rinkhoff Advarix team. As you can see, that mountain's the Große Priel, ice mountain in Upper Austria. And it also like having a little underline. It's not just the Tour of Austria, it is also the most beautiful sightseeing tour through Austria mentioned here.
Yes, and today we don't really reach the high altitudes as much, so we just passed the Rossleiten, and that was at 801 meters. So we're not going to high altitudes today, but that is saved for later on in the week.
Yeah, but even though we're not in the high mountains here on that stage, we also have they do have to complete 2,432 meters in elevation gain with some really short ascent in there.
Yeah, it's the short punchy climbs that hurt the most. If you've just got to go up one short climb with 150 meters, it's of elevation gain. It's not that hard. The hard thing is when you've got to do it over and over and over again. Yeah, like yesterday in yesterday's Tour de France stage, it was a similar type of course with lots of short climbs, and if you get short climbs after short climbs, at some point your muscles get really, really tired and it starts hurting.
So we have the replay of the first mountain classification with the athlete from XTF, Nicolas Vinokourov, securing those points. And they're on the way to Hinterstoder, 175. Kalle Kvam here from Team Coupe Repsol. And right now they are like building up a little bit of speed here, trying to use the downhill to start maybe a little attack there. Would it be a wise decision to do that here at Hinterstoder?
I wouldn't say so, no. This breakaway should just stick together, work together as best as possible, and just get to the final climbs. Just get to the sprint classification, which is at 142k. Yeah, just work together.
Yeah, Hinterstoder. As I said, it is the only Upper Austrian Ski World Cup venue. In the summertime, it is well known for all the hiking and outdoor activities you can do here. And also known for great bike riding. And is an incredible scenery or picturesque buildings, old buildings. And they also have produced numerous Olympic and World Championship athletes, particularly in alpine skiing and cross-country skiing. Highest point there, 1,900 meters, but not for our contenders here. They just do a little run course and going out there towards Steyrtal. What are they talking right now? What do you think? Is he like screaming back to his...
Yeah, they're just putting their hands up to get the team car. So every time when a rider wants something from the team car, they put their hand up, and then the race director says it's through on the radio. All the riders have also got radios, so they can speak to the team cars, and here you can just see number 114 getting their bottle from the KTM Tyrol team car.
It was a bit of struggle to get the bottle here from KTM. There is some...
little bit of sticky bottle
going on there for Tyrol KTM cycling with David Pohlmann. But yeah, it's everywhere the same.
Yeah.
Or
I think that was okay.
That was okay.
They did that well, yeah. Especially when you're going up a climb and you get a bottle from the team car and you're already dropping off, and then the team car drags you back onto the group. That might be a bit.
That would be a bit.
Not so good.
So 86k to go. 1 hour and 15 minutes in the race, and you can see here in the back the slopes of Hinterstoder. Then we have from Benoît Berthold, Patrick Reisig putting up his arm towards the team car, needs some nutrition. And it is going down a bit towards the Steyr-Durchbruch Kraftwerk. It is an industrial monument, so it is a picturesque track here. The most beautiful sightseeing tour you can make while racing. A lot of people along the track, and as you've seen earlier at the start, at the Grand Depart of the Tour of Austria in Steyr, tons of people cheering them on, and when they are coming back to Steyr to have not just one finish crossing, having two of them, because they have to do that Porscheberg, not just once. There will be a lot of people cheering them on.
I think there'll also be a lot of, or hopefully there'll be a lot of people standing on the Porscheberg. Maybe also on the Polsterer Kogel. The road does get quite tight up the top. So the Polsterer Kogel will be is going to be a very interesting next category 2 climb.
Last year's winner in Steyr was from Ineos, representing Colombia, Brandon Riviera. 2023, Team Jayco Alula, the Italian, Matteo Sobrero, and then there was a bit of gap between. 2016, we have from Team Cofidis, representing France, Clément Venturini. So also quite, how do you say, imposant athlete heritage or Finnish heritage here in Steyr. So there are quite a few good people there. And we also know some athletes from the Tour of Austria made their step into the Tour of Austria to the Grand Tours like Tour de France, Vuelta, Giro d'Italia. Simon Yates was also here fighting for the red jersey. It is not a yellow jersey, it is a red jersey here for the GC, overall GC. We have a green jersey for the sprint, then we have a black one for the best under 23 athlete.
And we also have one for the best Austrian rider.
We also have one for the best Austrian riders. That for sure. And that jersey for the mountain classification you already explained before. That white-orange one, sponsored by Mautner. So it is the big fight here today for the jerseys.
Yeah, definitely. Always on the first stage, you know, all the jerseys are up for grabs. The GC or the general classification jersey is obviously up for grabs. There are bonus seconds on each of the sprints, so 3, 2, and 1 bonus seconds. So in this race, it isn't the first person who comes over the finish line wins or gets to wear the general classification jersey tomorrow, as it was in the Tour de France today, where Jasper Philipsen took it on the first day. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the final and who will be wearing the leader's jersey tomorrow.
So the next few Ks will be more of a downhill than an uphill.
Oh, you could just see one of the World Tour riders just needing a little pee-pee stop on the side of the road there.
And there is a bit of, I can say, a bit of bad vibes in that leading group.
I think they're still working quite well together, because we have got a 12-man breakaway, is it?
Yeah, 12-man.
Yeah, so a big enough group that there could be some lack of cohesion between the riders, but they seem to all be working well together.
Oh. Here we have Tim Waffler with the Austrian national champ jersey. Is not probably made for the hill climbs here. He is, as we said before, he is coming from the track and having a European Championship medal at home. He's well known for his sprint capabilities, and he's working in the back of the peloton here. Jacob Pucella in the chat with the race officials.
Shaking his head a bit, so wondering what's going on there.
Go. Just heard go.
We saw him drop off a tiny little bit at the top of the Gaisriegel climb. So it'll be interesting to see how he holds up on the next climb, the next Cat 2 climb.
Felix Großschartner here at the end of the peloton from the UAE Team Emirates XRG, and then having also one from the team, it must be Arbu Kärnten Sport.
He's taking his arm warmers off, so it must be getting a little bit warmer. I think none of the breakaway riders are riding with long sleeves, so the UAE riders at the front is also wearing a long sleeve or arm warmers.
Yeah.
So it must be a little bit fresh out there. Or they're just used to extreme heats and this is now quite cold for them.
Yeah, it must be still Kovi. There in the front. Yeah, also having Giro d'Italia stage win 2023. It was stage 15, second overall classification Tour of the Alps 2023. And he's also an Italian national champion, but that's quite a few years back, 2021 there. And he's a mountain stage threat, Alessandro Covi.
Yeah, he came second this year in the national championships in Italy. He lost that sprint finish between the 5 riders. And Cocana Filippo won the national championships in Italy this year. That was a bit of a shock.
That was a bit of a shock because he's coming from a Conti team, SWAT Club.
No, it's only a club team. SWAT
it's a club team, yeah.
I think that was a great race where the underdog took the win.
Yeah, and there's also, especially in Austria, always on traffic. As you can see, it's also a bit dangerous to not just focus on your racing, just also focus on the traffic coming towards you.
As long as the cars are stationary and their motorbike, or there's somebody standing in front of it warning the riders that there's a car or a lorry parked there, then it should be okay. It's just, it hasn't occurred yet here, but you've also once seen in different countries where cars have been driving on the racetrack, which is obviously very dangerous. So let's hope that all goes well there.
Yeah. There's everything under control there, coming from the organization here. Tons of people working to make that Tour of Austria happen. 78k to go and 2 hours of racing. Matty Todd coming from the Great Britain.
Looks like he's got his time trial suit on. Oh, and his handing his radio in, is he?
Yeah.
Might not be working. So yeah, he was definitely the plan this morning in the team bus that he'll go into the breakaway if a rider puts their time trial suit on.
But you mainly see one suit jerseys or dress by the athlete, and here you see how close it is there.
Yeah, most of the riders will opt for the jerseys where the trousers, so it's a one suit pretty much, unless it's extremely hot on mountain stages.
Oh, we need to correct that one. We always said it is Alessandro Corvi in front here of the peloton, but it was instead Julius Johansen here doing the work from Team UAE. He's he's a time trial specialist, but having some pretty good results. Second stage here, Tour de Suisse. Yeah.
And obviously a time trial specialist, you just put them on the front of the peloton and they'll be able to keep that gap.
Yeah.
Keep that gap down. And they can get super aero.
Yeah.
Obviously that now it looks like it's going uphill a little bit, so the aero position isn't as crucial, but on the flat roads when you're hammering out the watts as aero, or you can save a lot of watts by getting down and being as small as possible.
But he's up there in front for quite a few moments already. That must be like nearly 15k, something around that, working here in the front.
Yeah, and you can just see on the grass on the left, look how windy it is.
Yeah.
Complete headwind at the moment. So.
And as you also can see it on his hair tangling out of the helmet.
Yeah.
Of Julius Johansen, representing Norway. No, not Norway. It's
Denmark.
Denmark. Sorry for that. It's Denmark. And Jaco Alula with an Austrian in it. With Patrick Gamper also, stage winner of the Tour de France. I guess it was 2021.
Yeah, you can also see how Julius Johansen is riding on the right-hand side of the road. And before, you could really see how the Jaco Alula riders were on the left side of the road. So you can also tell by the way they're riding that it's a bit of a side wind, not just pure headwind.
You just said Patrick Gamper, and we maybe have also some words from him earlier today.
Ich bin das letzte Mal, glaube ich, 2019 gefahren und jetzt das erste Mal als Profi dabei. Also schon ein besonderes Gefühl, muss ich sagen. Und es ist lässig, wenn man sieht, dass so gut angenommen wird, so viele Leute sind.
2019 and this is the first time as a pro here, and this is an amazing feeling.
Weil ich glaube, das ist ein großer Favorit auf Gesamtsieg.
And it is going to be a tough task for him to be there up front in the GC, because mainly the eyes are towards Felix Großschartner here, and there's a man, nothing goes around of him. Having another little break there. Yeah. You just saw, that's why you were smiling here.
Well, it seems like the Jaco Alula maybe had a bit too much water on the bus this morning. Quite a few riders have been stopping lately. Or maybe we've just been seeing the Jaco Alula toilet stops.
Yeah, 53 here on the back wheel of Johansson is Christoph Juliensen. One minute and 49. Still the gap. And here back with the breakaway group. Yeah, Team Jaco Alula, as I said before. Yeah, always. Vochela again here in the main frame, also having his birthday today. That's why they were singing happy birthday at the team presentation earlier today for
Vochela Jakob.
Yeah.
So it's his 21st birthday today. Happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday, yeah. He's probably not able to hear us, but I guess
maybe later on.
He a little bit can enjoy his birthday ride with those beautiful views up to old castles and yeah, pretty solid road situations here.
Yeah, they're working again quite well together now. The break coming through to the front, peeling off, and then the next rider's already there, ready to work. So it's looking good for them.
We are coming towards Steyr Durchbruch.
The hydropower station here.
Hydropower station, yeah. Steyr Durchbruch.
Where they're using Francis turbines actually here in the hydropower station. There are a lot of them in Austria. We're also going to go up to Kühtai, where they've got two big hydropower stations, which then also goes down to Silz.
One of them is in the construction phase up there, and also Kühtai, especially, just to like to take a little bit of look on that. Queen Stage is also well known for that classic Ötztaler
bike marathon.
The Gran Fondo. It is probably the most famous one here.
Yeah.
Not just here.
And worldwide, pretty
much. Worldwide.
Yeah. Very difficult to get a start place.
Yeah. I heard rumors that there were 25,000 people trying to get one of the 4,000 starting places here. EF Education with 37. Georg Steinhauser, another Austrian. Here at the back of the peloton. No, it's German.
Yeah, but he had a great Giro d'Italia last year. Where he won a stage in Passo Broncon. He had 136k in the breakaway then. He also took part in the Giro d'Italia this year, so that was also his last race. Got into quite a few breakaways. Didn't quite manage to get that win this year, but be interesting to see what he can do here, because he's definitely one for the breakaways, I'd say.
Yeah.
And a very good climber.
So the stages for him are coming by the end of the week. Stage 4, Stage 3, and also a bit of Stage 2 tomorrow, where we do have to finish at St. Johann Alpendorf. We are back at the end of the peloton with 85 from Rinkov Advarix. Edward Ravasi. Yeah, they just let them do their work up front. 2 minutes gap between peloton and breakaway group, and 70k to go, but we are going fast towards the next mountain classification. It is the Polsterer Kogel coming up. Also that one really a spicy one. Not too long, but maxing out to 11.4% at the end, 4.3k. But starting, yeah.
It's the longest climb of today's stage with 4.3k and 251 meters in elevation. So it'll be interesting to see if the breakaway gets to the bottom of this climb, what will happen? Will they start attacking after the breakaways, try and get a smaller group away? Because the top of the climb is with 46.5k to go. So doable if you break away from the group.
But also a special one is that it is going to be a really narrow road up there. So Christian Böhmer said, the Director Sportif of Bora Hansgrohe Red Bull, said not just 2 persons are able to fit in there. So it is a deciding one.
Definitely.
Also.
I mean, if you're in a 5-man breakaway, say, at the top, it won't make much difference. But if you're in a big group with 20, 30 odd riders, if you're in 10th position and somebody attacks off the front, then you can't move. You're stuck in the middle of the group, and just got to hope you can make your way around and chase him back down again. And I think there's also a plateau at the top where there's a lot of side wind. And then it goes into a right-hand bend, I think, if I got that correct, where it then goes to tailwind. So definitely a chance to attack at the top of the Polsterer Kogel.
Also huge hiking traditions up there. Famous Krukkenbrettel, like a wooden blank bridge here where tons of people walking up there to see the view, panoramic view over the Steyrtal, Steyr Valley. And that one starting at 121.3k. So now let's have it 46.5. Okay, before the finish area. For the finish line, we have that second com, also category 2.
And then after the com, we've got a sprint, the last sprint of the day with 25.5k to go.
Yeah, that's the one going for the first time over the finish line in Steyr. But they're still looking good. They're still working quite good together, and especially it is amazing for the Austrian Conti teams to set those riders or to place those riders in the breakaway group.
Yeah, definitely, and also for the teams to get their another one going to the toilet to get their team names up in the breakaway. Obviously very important for the sponsors, so that's great to see.
Another Tyrol KTM cycling team raising his hand. Yeah, it is again. Matty Todd here with the time trial suit.
Yeah, the only problem with the time trial suit or the one of Jakob Furteller is they haven't got any pockets at the back, so they can maybe put their gel down the front or under the trousers or on the shorts, but they haven't got anywhere to put their gels and bars, so they have to keep going to the team car.
And nothing changed here. Johansson UAE team still working up front, followed by Jaco Alula. Then we have his fellow teammates from UAE, and then in the bright pink jersey, EF Education First Easy Post.
The other World Tour teams will be loving this. They don't have to do too much work. Yeah. UAE put a rider on the front and they're doing the work.
Yeah, just to give you a little overview, like we already said, 7 World Tour teams. It is mostly mentioned UAE team, Emirates, XRG, Ineos Grenadiers, Alpecin, De Koenig, EF Education, Lidl Trek, Jayco Alula, and XTS Astana team. Then the pro team, Unibet Diatema Rockets. Then we have the key leader, Owen Gallier, representing the Netherlands, and then hopping into the Conti teams with Renko Advarik's team Vorarlberg, WSA KTM Graz, Tirol KTM cycling team, Albu, Kärnten Sport, Feldamsee, ATT Investments, Benotti Berthold. We always see one of them up in the breakaway group, Run and Race, Wibertech, SC Padovano also with one rider in the breakaway group, Team Coop Repsol, United Shipping, and Foster ATS team. 25 plus riders are representing Austria, and we have 20 from Italy, 18 Germany, and 4 from Spain. And there's one we can really like pin out a little bit. He is known as a MotoGP athlete, doing his debut here at the Tour of Austria for Lidl Trek. Aleix Espargaro.
Yeah,
his name.
Very cool story. This.
Yeah, MotoGP winner, race winner, 2022 Argentina Grand Prix. Then a 3rd overall in the MotoGP World Championship. Several podium finishes in 2020, 2021, 2022, and it is his really first race on the bicycle. Keeping his passion with 2 wheels, but somehow forgot the motor between there.
He's got his 2 legs now for his engine.
But it is an amazing story. Having him here,
I'm very interested to see how he's going to get on, because bike racing is more than just pure power on the bike. I mean, there's so much tactics behind the whole racing, but also just riding in the field. You know, it's very hectic, or it can be very hectical, especially when you come into these sprint finishes when there's lots of road furniture. And yeah, I mean, you've got to like it to stay at the front. And so yeah, I'm interested to see how he's going to get on and what he says at the end of the races, if he enjoyed it.
Yeah, he is very nervous, he said in the interview already, and he's not just him like doing a little crossover from his main sport to cycling. It is also Paul Vermjak from Team Lidl Trek, from the development team. Actually, he is world-class ski mountaineer from Austria with already qualification for the Olympic Games coming up next year.
Oh, we have a car on the course. Oh dear.
Oh.
Well, at least he's driving in the race direction.
Yeah.
Oh, the riders are spraying him. Okay. And
I guess that one.
That shouldn't happen.
Nervous, but
everything went okay. So hopefully they'll get that car out of the race course. But yeah, also ski mountaineering. Anton Palzer is a great example. I mean,
great example.
He's done very well to get into the pro biking from ski mountaineering.
Yeah. We are again going on in our beautiful sightseeing tour, and are right now in Leonstein, Grünburg. As you can see, family-friendly cycling path running through some amazing natural swimming pools. Also lovely little houses along the track, and some ray of sunshine.
Yeah, that would be great if we could have a bluebird day at the end.
Yeah.
A nice sun. Like the perfect temperature for biking, in my opinion, is like around 20, 25 degrees, nice sunshine, not too warm.
That's the temperature you used to have in Great Britain, right?
For the British Championships, it was a little bit colder. It was around 15 degrees. But in Austria, you do have to get used to 35 degrees sometimes.
Yeah.
But this week's been a bit of a cold front.
Yeah, we have snow up there in the mountains, approximately at 1,800 meters right now, and we have the 9th of July. Yeah. Normally we are tanned and with shorts, cheering the athletes on here on the track.
It'll be interesting for the Kühtai stage if there's still going to be snow at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
That'll be very, very picturesque.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Snow at the top.
But here is everything green, and it looks like there's not that much wind at the moment. And
so 106 kilometers done, and the average speed so far is 42.4. So we've got 60k to go.
60k to go, and you said 44 average speed, which means 42 average speed, which means we probably have them around 10 to 3 in PM in the finish area if everything works well for them, and they keep for sure those average speed here. But
yeah, we've also got some climbs to come. So we've got 250 meters on the Postler Kogel, and then the next classified climb is the last one of the day, the Porsche-Berg, with 150 meters. But in between, we've still got two climbs which aren't classified, but as a category 2, or it's not a category climb, but there's still over 100 meters of elevation gain, so that will slow them down a little bit.
Yeah. So we'll be around at 3 p.m. plus minus a few minutes, having them back in the finish area, and we are just waiting for things about to start in the peloton.
Yeah, they've let the gap go up to 2 minutes 30 now, so
that's quite a big one.
Yeah, but
you can say 1 minute per 10k, you can close the gap.
Yeah, I'd say that's, yeah, definitely. You just have to put a couple of the World Tour riders on the front. If UAE Team Emirates really want to bring the gap down, they'll bring it down quite quickly.
They tighten up the leash there. But it is an amazing performance so far by the athletes here, by the riders here in the breakaway group. 12 people strong, 12-man strong group here, with Pro Tour athletes in there. XTS Astana with Nicolas Vinokourov. Then we have Rinkov, Advarik's team, Vorarlberg, KTM, as a Tyrol KTM cycling team, Benotti. So all the well-known Conti teams are up front and eating those Ks towards the last comms, waiting for them. 58 and 2.5 hours of racing, of talking.
Yes, the rider Nicolas Vinokourov, sorry if I pronounce that incorrectly.
Vinokourov, I guess, yeah.
From the Astana team, he did the Vuelta last year in 2024, so he's obviously got some World Tour stage race experience. So he will definitely know how to fuel and how to properly prepare for this type of stage race. Obviously, the Tour of Austria is only 5 stages and not 21 like a Tour de France, but still,
But still, there are
a few races.
Yeah, and a few thousand meters in elevation gain to complete, especially like to be not that exact, but we have 14,000 meters in elevation gain over all the 5 stages and 714k to complete here. Another little step to the side of UAE, Team Emirates there. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, just look how aero he is on the bike. You can tell that he's a time trial specialist.
But already having more than 3-minute gap.
Oh, that's gone out quickly, hasn't it? Maybe our time is a little bit lacking behind, because now we're already at 3 minutes 30. But I would say everything between 4 to 5 minutes
is okay.
When it gets over 5 minutes, it might get very exciting for the breakaway.
Yeah.
But we've still got 56k of racing to go, so well over an hour. So a lot can happen in that amount of time. And he's getting a bit of fuel for his teammates.
Strong performance. By Julius Johansen.
Yeah, you can see that it must be quite a bit of headwind, because he is working pretty hard on the front, and then a couple of riders back, they are freewheeling sometimes, so that indicates that they've got quite a bit of headwind at the moment.
But wouldn't it be time to do like switch the position there, or change the position?
Yeah, I'm actually quite, like, he's been on the front for what, 25k? I think 25k has been on the front. It's quite a long time. So maybe they're just using him in the early parts of this race, and then at the end, the whole UAE team train will come to the front. But I don't know, maybe one teammate could come and help him, or you could ask Jayco Lula to give them a bit of a tow, because they're obviously also going for the GC. But they would have had a plan in the morning, and they'll just be sticking to the plan at the moment.
But out of your opinion right now, what is the plan of the World Tour teams right now? Like, just keep everything tight together, let the breakaway group do their thing for a moment, and then closing the gap and work for the GC, or really go for the stage wins?
Definitely. I think they'll be going for the stage wins today. I think it will be quite hard to get a big gap going into the finish for a GC rider. But maybe the likes of Großschartner will be able to attack at the top, or over the top of the Porscheberg. And, you know, if you've got a 100-meter gap at the top, it's a 5k, or pretty much a 3k descent, and then 1.8k to the finish. So if you attack over the top of the Porscheberg, you've got a very good chance of coming over the line first. So the World Tour teams will just be keeping it close. As you can see, it's at 2 minutes 44 now. So they'll then start putting the hammer down. Latest with 15k to go, they'll make sure the brakes not too far away.
We are not that far away from the next Polsterer Kogel, and yeah, average age of riders in the break 24. Pretty young.
Yeah.
Breakaway group here. Emanuel Zangerle, Team Vorarlberg here, also a young rider, and Tirol KTM under 23 team mainly, or not mainly, all of them
except from Tim.
Except
Waffler.
Tim Waffler is falling out of the under-23 category right now. But also set foot in the elite group here with an amazing national championships, having like approximately 60K together with Michi Gogel from Alpecin de Koenig here working. And then there was one person closed the gap of more than 3 minutes in 15K was Felix Großschartner, but in the end it was Tim Waffler with the stronger legs when it comes to the finish. So
yeah, a great win that was for him. Also winning the sprint off the front of the group of 3, and him obviously, or I would say, being a bit of the underdog between in comparison to the 2 World Tour riders he was with. So yeah, great achievement in his career.
And we've seen him before in the Jersey National Championship jersey, saying early on today he is not feeling quite well. He is a bit,
maybe a tiny cold.
Here.
So maybe just hoping to survive the first stage and just take it day by day and see how he feels tomorrow. Maybe he'll go and try and attack some sprints and get some points. Okay, so it looks like our live timing isn't quite working now, but I think we're still around the 2 minute 30 gap to the leaders.
Also right now Alpecin de Koenig is forming their train here on the left hand side next to XTS Astana.
Yeah, you could probably see then how the World Tour riders are forming into their trains, and there'll be, as we said before, the Polsterer Kogel, it gets quite tight at the top, so if you want any chances of breaking away or attacking, then you got to be at the front.
Here we are having a little spicy uphill, then a little descent, and then we go into that Polsterer Kogel with 4.2K. And 251 vertical meters, maxing out to 11.4. And as I said early on the stage, Sean Quinn with 11:03 can use that one to do timing by ourselves here.
So he's got the KOM at the moment on Strava.
We have another POE, and here we have 2 minutes and 40 seconds here.
And it looks like we've got a KTM rider spicing it up a bit at the front. Increasing the tempo. So I think maybe we can get excited for this next climb. Maybe there will be a bit of a separation in the front brake.
Also having a little bit of a struggle from Team Vorarlberg. We've seen with the number 91. That was Pirmin Bent here, losing a bit the connection to the breakaway group here. But he's already working his way back to the back wheel of Jakob Fuchela.
So I think we've got a short ascent after this little climb, and then we hit their gradients of 8.1% at the beginning. And the average over the whole climb is 5.8%.
Sweating is,
sexy.
Yeah, the other word was readable for every nation. Leaving also. Now it is time. UAE is putting their train up in front with Jaakko Elula right now doing a little bit of the leading work.
Yeah, we've got Jaakko Elula present, UAE Team Emirates.
Alpecin De Koning present. Yeah.
Alpecin and also EF Education, you can see.
Yeah.
I haven't seen much of Lidl Trek yet, but I think...
Not yet, but maybe now it is time for the World Tour teams to step a little bit into the action. Because here in the uphill, maybe the advantage of the peloton to close the gap is bigger than for the breakaway group. What you would say?
I would say actually obviously in the flat, the peloton's got a bigger advantage because more people is more draft, and the peloton will have to work harder. But I've got a feeling the World Tour riders have got this climb marked for a bit of a big climb that they're gonna want to be at the front on, and try and close this gap down to the peloton to the breakaway.
We have an attack here without any, with a little counter attack there.
Yeah, we've got the KTM rider and a Team Vorarlberg rider going with them, but we can see now a couple of riders starting to struggle out the back. But quite a few riders are still with the Astana rider.
Yeah, we have WSA, KTM Graz, then Team Vorarlberg, Rincon Vatvarix.
But it's still going.
They're still going.
It's still going.
They're up front here.
Nicolas is still attacking at the front.
Yeah. Dropped from group. Yeah, it is Matthias Gunzner, Wilmin Pent, and Richard Riska. And now we're up.
Also, Jakob Purcell has a bit of trouble there.
So now the pro team, World Tour teams are
also
lining up in front here.
Ineos Grenadiers have come to the front with their train, and Lido Trek are also present now at the front.
EF. Little Trek, yeah, you can see it.
Yeah.
Hector Alvarez. And here is David Baumann trying to close the gap.
He's probably putting the tempo on now. Yeah, Nicolas Vinokov.
And Emanuel Zangale, Team Vorarlberg, also here. That's quite a gap already.
Yeah, they put a decent gap into them.
Yeah, they let them off the leash.
Yeah.
You can see the amazing aerial footage. Well, that's quite a few meters already.
Yeah, they've definitely put, I'd say, around 10 to 15 seconds into that second group, and then a further 15 seconds.
We are actually at the beginning of that mountain coming up.
Yeah, the top is at 46.5k, so I've actually only got 1.5k to go. It looks like it flattens out a tiny bit, 2.34%, and then it ramps up again towards the end, going up to a 10%.
Here at the Sandner Linde.
Now the Astana riders try to get them all three working together. Let's see if they've got anything left in the tank, or if they're just hanging onto his back wheel.
That was that left-hand turn here into the steeper part of the ascent here. Having some hat signal by Nicolas Vinokurov towards Baumann.
Yeah, I think he should just go onto the front here and just ride the tempo, and them two will just stay in his back wheel. I don't think they should start trying to take turns, especially going up this climb.
One, two, three.
But it looks like 4 riders are making their way back to the front 3. Sometimes it is better when a rider attacks and it's a longer climb, then you just sit back down into your rhythm and close the gap without going over the limit.
500 meter to the Com here. I've seen the sign next to the street. Here we are with those 3 athletes in front. One's trying to close in the gap. And then there's another one, Cube Repsol, Benotti and Tirol KTM Cycling. Team Vorarlberg, seen here.
Oh, and it looks like another... David Baumann looks like he's just getting distanced, but it's not too far to go to the top now.
Maybe another mountain classification on the balance of XTS Astana here.
It looks like he's definitely going for this mountain jersey. Oh, but Baumann's managed to make it back.
Oh yeah, and here we are. Here.
And then the attack.
Oh, a little bit of Tour de France feeling here on Polsterer Kogel.
Yeah, great to see a couple of spectators out.
Oh, that's Team Vorarlberg securing the Com here.
Yeah, Emanuel
Zangerle.
And where are the other 4 riders that were catching them? Here they come.
Here they are.
So now it's going to be interesting if those 3 riders wait for these 4 riders, or will they just try and go now by themselves?
55 seconds.
Gaps come down.
Yeah, 47 actually. Right now we've been already up to 3 minutes so far here. And there's still 47k to go. ...138 riders in or on the start list. Amelie next to me is studying the race course, studying the profile.
Yeah, it looks like the next climb that's coming up isn't a category climb, but it's a
spicy one.
Still 170 meters. And you saw that was a 250 meter climb, and the front breakaways thinned down a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what the tactics of the World Tour riders will be. Yeah, I don't think we can trust that time completely. Sometimes, or I think it's off the motorbike rider, and it's gone up to 2 minutes now. I don't think that gap was ever at 37 seconds. So I think we're around the 2 minute 30 marker on the breakaway.
Going into the downhill, all the way down to 400 approximately meters. Yeah. 500.
Yes, we've got a descent and then another mini climb of around 30-40 meters, and then we've got a longer descent of around 4 to 5k, and then another 5k in the flat, and then we get on to the 170 meter climb, which then takes us to the first time round start and finish, or the finish.
they are back together. Not all of them, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I guess.
Yep, 6 riders now.
And here you can see the tangled up peloton stretched here in that downhill part, or a bit of downhill part, bit of flatter part.
And the team cars aren't directly behind the peloton, so maybe it was quite a narrow climb, so maybe the team cars have got caught up behind some dropped riders. So let's just hope there are no mechanicals now of any of the GC riders.
Well, that would be a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, if you get a puncture or your gearing stops working, then that's annoying if the car isn't directly behind you.
Yeah, on that plateau, beautiful scenic views along the Steyr Valley. But I guess the athletes are not having an eye for that one.
Yeah.
now.
They probably won't be taking the scenery in as much as we are. But it looks like we've got a bit of a tailwind here. If you look on to the bushes on the left-hand side. Or the plants.
Plants, yeah.
Plants.
Yeah. And maybe your wish is coming true. Do you have some blue parts on up there?
Blue sky.
On the sky. But a purple jersey in front, next to white and black, and the bright pink one.
Yeah, the weather forecast said it's around 18 degrees there at the moment, and maybe some slight chance of raindrops at 3 o'clock. So let's hope that stays away.
Oh yeah, that's...
Because it is a fast descent, I reckon, to this finish. Because we have got the climb, and then, as I mentioned before, a 3k descent and a 2k flat run into the finish, with a couple of technical turns, with a couple of 100 meters to go.
Also having the live ticker on the Tour of Austria homepage. We can have the exact situation in the top.
Now you can see that the pace in the peloton is definitely increasing. A couple of riders are struggling to hold up with the pace.
Yeah, we have Nicolas Ginter. Then from ATS Foster, that was Tomasz Pucinski, Benotti, Bertolt, and I guess the other one, yeah, it is. They just pulled down the throttle here.
Yeah. Yeah, you can also see how stretched out the peloton is from behind. They're definitely giving some gas right now in the peloton. And there'll also be a fight for this descent here. You can see they're very narrow roads and a technical descent. The last thing you want is, as a GC rider or as any rider, to go down and hit the ground, because, yeah, it's obviously never good to crash. And you might have a damaged bike and then you won't be able to make it back on because the team cars are too far behind. So you just want to be at the front, and then there's less risk of crashing.
Yeah, you can see here 180-degree turns here, full speed. I guess we just heard it a little bit out of the team radio or the official radio. 60 seconds, something around that is the gap between those leading group and the peloton. They are already, you can see it, 70, 70, 80, yeah, 84, 85 kilometers per hour. And two of those are struggling to stay on the back wheel. And one is ahead. Maybe that would be right now a chance for that athlete who is ahead to start a little attack, or to
maybe
use the momentum.
Definitely, but we have still got quite still over 40k to go, and I think it will be reasonable to at least get to the next little climb with a group, because we've still got a bit of flat section between where we are now and the next climb. And if you can make it over the next climb and then maybe think about sprinting for the sprint points and then carrying on after that, that could be a good chance to attack. Yeah, so 39k to go.
Yeah.
A 39k solo break after you've been in the break. I mean, these riders have been in the breakaway for 100k, have they now?
Yeah, I was just calculating. I guess they're nearly 100k alone up in front, but not alone. 11 of them alone in front, and you can see how stretched the peloton is.
Single file coming down the technical descent.
Coming towards Garsten next, leaving Laberndorf. Coming towards another POI. That was Emanuel Zangerle. And with 151 from Run and Race WeberTech, Tobias Kreuzer. And UAE still up in front. Quite a few spectators around the track, along the track here at the Tour of Austria. We've seen some Tour de France vibes up to Holsterer Kogel.
Yeah.
Maybe Porscheberg will be packed. Hopefully, it would be amazing for the athletes to. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be incredible. I think also when the crowds are there cheering you on. Oh, we've got a little slow motion here.
We have
a KTM rider's come off. Number
112, that is Nicolas Ginter.
Hopefully he could jump straight back onto his bike without too many issues. Looked like maybe he just slipped out of the corner there. But very lucky with the weather that the roads aren't wet.
Yeah.
That's great. But yeah, as I was saying before, if the spectators on the road and they're properly cheering you on, then you forget about the pain in your legs to a certain extent. I mean, you can obviously still feel your legs burning, but
55 seconds.
So that gap's come down very quickly. UAE must have put a very high pace on the descent. They pretty much gained a minute on that descent then.
And then when they close the gap, you can actually say the race is about to start new there in the last 36 Ks.
It will be interesting how the riders react. Will there be a counter-attack straight away, or will the World Tour riders set a high tempo for Großschartner or Isaac Del Toro, for example, to attack over the top of one of the climbs?
Nearly 3 hours in the race.
Yeah, as we can see here, three men who are in the breakaway are getting caught by the peloton. And here we can see a group of riders just try to make it back onto the back of the peloton.
Rinko Vatvarix, Richard Riska, he was that one already been riding in the breakaway group and now just fall back all the way to the end of the peloton. Also from Run and Race WeberTech, Artur Sowinski we've seen here. Then I'd say Albe Virgil Lidl Trek with 45. Rain Gibson, Hermann Bernsteiner, the Austrian.
He even got his jersey open, so it must be a little bit warm out there.
Yeah. So, but they're making some meters, so they're getting some meters. They are able to close the gap here in Garsten, another scenic point, which is 133.1k in the race. 35k to go, so in the end we are coming on to the 167 point something of pure racing here on the stage one.
So we've got 10.5k to go to the sprint finish, where they will come past the finish line the first time. And then they've got one more loop to go with a slight climb around 170 meters, and then onto the famous Porscheberg.
There it is. Magnificent Church is in there. It was a monastic complex many, many years ago. But it is still, the Abbey continues to still play an important role in the religious cultures and the spiritual life here. With tons of concerts in, so not just you are well informed about the race, also about the towns or points we are riding through on that tour.
So now we've got Jayco at the front. So everything's getting a little bit more interesting now. The peloton definitely wants to bring this break back, but I'm sure this will happen maybe before the sprint. We'll see. I'm not quite sure what the gap is at the moment. I think it's around 30 seconds, maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Looks like they've also got a bit of tailwind here.
Yep.
So
also Alpecin, De Koenig, putting their riders into the top part of the peloton. And here we have a little bit of an uphill.
So it looks like they're pulling the team cars out of the gap now, because
it's going to be close.
Yeah, the gap's coming down, I reckon.
114. David Baumann is probably waiting for the peloton here. It just stopped.
He just waved the camera goodbye.
Yeah. Also, Coop, Repsol, Kvam, and up front is Kalle-Petter Brodal Kvam from Team Coop, Repsol, and up front still.
Looks like they're increasing the pace now.
Yeah.
So this isn't a categorized climb. I don't think we are quite at.
Yeah, no, there's a bit of way to go there.
Yeah.
Always looking back over their shoulders.
Yeah, that's never a great sign when riders are looking behind.
They can feel the peloton having in their neck.
Yeah, they're
right now.
Definitely breathing down their necks now. But we're again the Astana rider and a rider from KTM and Team Vorarlberg at the front of the race.
But also Vinokurov.
Yep.
Alexander Konichev. Oh, he's back there.
A couple of Tour de France vibes there for fans asking for bidons and getting creative with their nets to catch the bidons. So it looks like we just went through a feed zone there. There are always specific areas where the teams are allowed to stand to hand out bidons to the riders. They can obviously always go back to the car, or the car can come up to the front. But sometimes it's just easier to get a bottle from the side of the road.
Yeah.
So it looks like we've got 4 riders out the front now.
Konichev, then, and here we are.
And Matti Dodd is at the front.
Vinokurov. And I guess Emanuel Zangale, also from Team Vorarlberg, is still there in the 4-man group, the leading group here. Here, 131. That is Dominik Neumann, ATT Investments, struggling a bit. I can see 97. That is, Emanuel Zangale. But those 4 are still in the leading group. But turning heads here.
Yeah, so we've got around 7k to go till they come through to the finish line, where I'm sure they'll want to sprint it out for the sprint points and also obviously the bonus seconds, 3, 2 and 1. The question is though, what's the peloton gonna do? It looks like
that's not a huge gap for those. That's probably just 20 seconds, not more here. Now, what would it be the option right now for those 4? Waiting to get caught by the peloton?
I think their only chance now is try to work together as best as possible. And look, it's the finish line.
So having the finish area waiting for the first crossing here. We do have 2 crossings. And it is an amazing atmosphere right there. The two hosts there.
Yeah, great to see lots of people out on the Austrian roads. Also lots of kids supporting their idols, maybe.
Oh, they're waiting for those heroes.
Also here, great to see spectators on the side of the road.
Yeah. And quite a few of them.
Yeah, always dotted around the place. It's nice to see. Yes, I think the breakaway should just work together as well as possible. Maybe some of them have still got a bit left in the tank, and they can attack on the next climb.
But they can already see them, for sure, the peloton.
I think we're around 16 seconds now. So, yeah, it's probably not going to be enough.
No, it's going to get intense right now. Maybe they can a bit widen up the gap for a few seconds here in the downhill, but not significant more than.
No.
New paved roads there. And here we are back in the finish area. Reading Marco Schettel, Felix Großschartner on also a Mexican flag for Isaac del Toro.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of him today, have we?
No, not yet.
Haven't seen him yet.
Also, just one little glimpse to Felix Großschartner at the back of the peloton while he was in the trying to get some nutrition here. But maybe it is time then for them to shine onto the Porscheberg.
Yes,
which has the famous name Porscheberg from Ferdinand Porsche. Like he was sitting up there in his mansion.
Yeah, I think they used to do tests with Porsche up that climb, is that correct?
Yeah, and also... Yeah.
So they tested the cars on the Porsche climb. So
but he owned also a villa up there.
Oh.
Ferdinand Porsche. Like Beetle, Volkswagen. Yeah. The executioner.
Yeah, I think we can get ready for a good final here.
Yeah. 28 kilometers to go. Still having 4 athletes up front. Fighting pretty hard already.
Yeah. It's in 2.5 kilometers. We got this sprint where they come through the finish line for the first time. And then they've got to go up the same climb they just went up. And then they've got a short descent, flat section, and then they come onto the famous Porscheberg.
It would be amazing to probably have a view back there to maybe can spot the peloton here. Coming off Flamme Rouge, we can see it's just like 1K left until we have the sprint classification. The first finish passing, and here we are on the very end of the peloton.
Yeah, so
also right now at the Flamme Rouge, that's like 10 seconds, not more.
Yeah, nah, that's not much. 10-15 seconds max, I'd say. All the other riders from the breakaway have already been swallowed up by the peloton, so these are the last 4 men standing.
Last 4 men standing here. You can see the city of Steyr, Iron City, famous also for the Christmas Carol here, and also now famous for incredible cycling sports coming onto the Koppers.
So the last 200 meters, who's going to get the sprint, or are they just going to roll?
That's Team Vorarlberg. Yeah.
Oh, great atmosphere.
Oh, amazing. It's like goosebumps here for us also.
So the 2 riders from Team Vorarlberg.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's the peloton already.
There's the peloton. Yeah. UAE forming
That's 10 seconds, I'd say.
No. Emanuel Zangale secured another important point. And here we have Felix Großschartner, Isaac Del Toro. Oh, great atmosphere. Amazing.
So they have done 1,935 vertical meters so far.
2,433 are in total.
So they got around 500 still to go in the final 25k. So.
Final 25k. And here we are, just having a little one more uphill and then going straight toward the executioner. 15 seconds regarding the stats here.
I also guess quite narrow up here, so that'll be a bit of a fight in the peloton to be at the front. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this Porsche Berg. I think that we're going to see a great fight here.
Average race speed so far still 42.2 kilometers per hour. And yeah.
Yes,
like 78% completed off the stage.
In vertical meters.
Yeah, vertical meters, yeah.
So yeah, around 4k until we hit the climb that we just rode up, and then we're heading into the final.
So what are the Director Sportif are right now telling those 4 athletes here in the leading group?
I think they'll just...
What would be the strategy right now?
They'll just be saying, keep your head down and keep riding. You never know what happens behind, but they're coming, I think. And just don't look back.
Don't look.
Because they have been out for a long time, and yeah, it'll be a miracle if they'll be able to attack out the front of this group and somehow stay away, but you never know. You could always try something.
Well, also we were not able to see the peloton so far here, where we had the little peek back.
Yeah. So maybe we are around 15 seconds?
Yeah. Leaving Steyr one more time. I'm going into a bit of a circuit right now. Vinokurov is shaking his legs a bit.
Maybe he's getting ready to launch a final attack on the next climb.
All the tension is building up here. Having again the replay of the sprint classification here with Team Vorarlberg perfectly in the middle of the frame here.
Also a bit tricky with the cobblestones.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting if we're going to have a solo winner or if it will come down to a sprint finish. Because if it does come down to a sprint finish, then it might get a little bit interesting.
Yeah, it's
the cobbles.
A bit heated up there, you think?
Yeah. But my prediction is that there are going to be some big attacks on the Porsche Berg.
But for that, they have for sure have to close the gap there.
Yeah, they still have to close the gap. We still haven't seen how big the gap is yet, but they're still riding. So.
Oh, they're looking back. Now we can see them That's
not looking so good for the breakaway.
No. And you can see it. They waiting for the peloton to catch them.
Yeah. Waving goodbye.
Emanuel Zangale waving towards the camera. Vinokurov also. And now they got caught after more than 100k of
being in the break
with an outstanding performance, with some precious points, mountain classification and sprint classification, and here we have the handshake.
Yeah, great sportsmanship.
Yeah, well done.
Well, that was that for them today. And now we're going to come down to the proper showdown.
Yeah, UAE already putting them leaders into the right position. It's not quite sure who is the leader here on the tour. They do have like sort of a double leadership with Isaac Del Toro and Felix Großschartner.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a deciding stage today for them, in terms of leadership.
Yeah, internally in the team. Okay, so the peloton has definitely gotten smaller since the beginning of the stage.
Yeah.
And these riders will just bring it home now and enjoy the atmosphere when they ride into the finish.
$21K, a bit too early for another attack here, what you would say?
I would say you can attack now and maybe stay away. I think we should, I think attacks could start coming soon.
Maybe we should probably stick with the camera up front there, and you're not missing the action coming up by those World Tour team riders. And here we have Alpecin de Koenig. This is 25. It is Luca Vergalito trying to test.
Maybe just test his legs.
Yeah.
It didn't look like a max effort attack, so maybe he was hoping for a couple of riders to go with him. Let's see how the others react. Yeah, the peloton's chasing him.
Chasing him. He is like going to the side.
Yeah, we can see here a couple of riders also from UAE. Jayco Lula have done their job for the day, and they're just dropping back out of the peloton. And now the team tactics will get very interesting.
And there will be a lot of testing going on in the next case.
Yeah. Also nice to see their Ineos supporter or
fan.
No, handing out the bidons.
Handing out a bottle.
Handed a bottle to a different team that wasn't Ineos, so.
Yeah, it's a bit. There's a little gruppetto formed here on the end of the peloton.
Yeah.
I can hear the motivation screams from the side in the German. Go Felix, come on.
So this will be the final opportunity for the riders to get a bid on from the side of the road if they need anything.
Oh, little track here.
Oh.
Using the chance.
Using every inch of the road, even going off the road a bit to attack here. And he's gone off solo as it looks. Oh, and another count or EF Education rider has gone up the front.
Yeah, there's another counter. Yeah, you see it. It has to be EF, yeah.
Yeah, EF. Yeah, there we go.
And also Alpecin trying again with 2. 43 here. Patrick Conrad also here at the end.
So we've got an EF rider, Little Trek. Alpecin is trying to make the break. I can't quite tell which team that is in 3rd place.
So this is Alvarez in the breakaway, another Alpecin. So Alvarez from Little Trek. Luca Vergalito again. Yeah, the action is going on in the front there. Hermann Bernstein at the end again with the 127, and here we are back. This is 184. It is United Shipping. It's Eric Vetter from United Shipping.
We've made it to the top of this climb, this uncategorized climb. And now we have got quite a long descent actually, around 6k. And then we slowly get onto the Parscheberg. So it looks like a couple of other riders have ridden off the front to try and get this break. And interesting that UAE haven't put a rider up in here.
EF with Belocchi with 31. Alvarez, Belocchi, then Vetter, and then Vergalito here up front. Another 4-man strong group here, but they're not quite sure what to do here. Yeah, Belocchi, Fernandez, Alvarez, Vetter from the Netherlands, Vergalito, Italy, and 2 Spanish athletes. Yeah, but what was the purpose of that attack here? Because that not seems to be a fully committed one.
No, but they have got a bit of a gap to the peloton. So it's going to be interesting if they're going to be able to work together. He wants to go solo.
Yeah, EF Education. Belocchi.
So he isn't that happy of dragging another 3 riders with him. He wants to go and try and do this one on his own.
A place at Vuelta 2024. Spanish National Championship, also top 15. So he is, mountain specialist. Markel Belocchi. 2024, 45th overall at the Tour de France. So also got some World Tour feelings, and he's building up there the gap.
Yeah, he definitely wants to try and go solo on this one. Also, Luca Vergalito from Alpecin de Koenig. He's also a pretty good, decent climber. Won the Oberösterreich Rundfahrt in 2023. So he could also be a very interesting contender for today's stage.
Yeah, but the question is it enough for those 4 athletes? Regarding that climbs coming up.
So my live ticker here says I got 18 seconds on the peloton. And they're all back together now, these 4.
18 seconds for those 4 athletes.
So they've got a couple of K of slight downhill, roughly -1%, so feels pretty flat to them, and then we're gonna hit the Porscheberg. Again, Porscheberg is a 1.3K climb with 150 vertical meters. The average gradient is 11.3% and it maxes out at 19.9%. The steep gradients come at the beginning of the climb and it flattens out a tiny little bit at the top, but that will definitely be a good launch pad for an attack.
Alvarez not that happy with Vetter here.
Working together. And the pace is high in the peloton.
Yeah. Ricardo Seudl here, former Tour of Austria winner 2013 with Philipp Hofbauer from WSA. KTM Graz here at the end. Whoa, that was a close call here for Iki Seudl. And here we are having them back there. Yeah, it is now the time for Vetter to do the leading work. Alvarez, then having Vergalotti glued to his back wheel. $14K to go. 14K to go. It's right now in that flatter part, as you said.
Yeah, Alvarez is in the development team, the Little Trek Future Racing Continental team. He moved into, or he was still riding in a club team in 2024. A very young rider, 18, born in 2006. And be an amazing result if he could pull something off here.
Yeah, Olympia's Tour 3rd in the youth classification, 12th in the GC here. And a pretty decent climber as well. Mountain classifications, La Philippe Gilbert Junior.
Quite a big rider at 190.
Yeah.
So, 13K to go.
Oh. And now we have Jaco Eluler in front with UAE again. So now they really have to start something. Maybe they can use that flatter part to try to close the gap there. 13K to go and approximately, you see, at 20 seconds.
Yeah, like obviously the EF Education team and Little Trek won't be pulling. Or Alpecin, the Koenig, so now it's all down to UAE Team Emirates and Jaco Eluler to bring this gap back down. And also Ineos Grenadiers.
Yeah. They really need to dance on the pedals right now to close the gap here, because those 4 athletes are on fire. They're putting down the throttle right now.
They're working well together at the moment.
They had the right moment to do that. Especially Alvarez, like going a little bit on the side of the road and cutting in front of the whole peloton. Amalie, I guess we're having a pretty intense finish coming up here. And I can't wait to see the executioner in in his
also
glance.
Very exciting that these four have gotten away from the peloton now. So it's gonna come down to whether or not the peloton can bring them back, and if or when they do, what they're gonna do. Will UAE attack over the top, or will it be another team to take it on?
Yeah, and also the question is, was it a bit too early for those four athletes to really keep that pace on?
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one, because we saw the EF rider wanted to try and do it on his own and go solo. Now he's got 3 other people with him, which is, in my opinion, an advantage, because it is quite flat. Oh, it's flat at the moment. But
you want to make any predictions right now here?
I think you can just see them up the road there. I think UAE will try something on the Porsche bag and set a high tempo at the bottom, and then try and attack over the top and go solo to the finish.
Okay.
How about you?
Yeah, same. I think so. It is. Felix Großschartner said he wants to go up there. It is his advantage to start something up there on the Porsche Berg. And last year he wasn't fully on the 100% there. It was like just 80%. And yeah, we will see what is coming up in a few moments there. At the end of the peloton, you maybe can see hopefully everything is good here. What a close.
That was very tight.
That was tight one.
Okay, final 10k, and then at the top of the Porsche bag, it's 5k to the finish. So
yeah, everything has to be set on the early stage of the Porsche Berg, because then the 5k are mainly downhill.
Okay, I've got a list of today's favorites on the PCS game. Isaac Del Toro is the favorite on here. Corby Alessandro is in 3rd place, and Lennart Kemner in 3rd.
3rd place.
And in
Lennart
4th
Kemner
is Felix Großschartner.
Yeah. ...46 kilometers per hour in the first, up front uphill. How do you say a little glimpse to the Porsche bag? Yeah. A little test there.
Yeah, we got a little, maybe 30-meter climb, tiny descent, and then you hit the ramps of the steep ramps of the Porsche bag. So the current KOM up there is at 4 minutes 30.
4 minutes 30, yeah.
So it's a 4 minute 30 max effort. And it looks like the... Yeah, EF
is going solo here.
Deloki Markel has gone off the front, the Spanish rider for EF Education.
9k to go. And he is trying to conquer the executioner by his own.
So this again is a category 2 climb. There will be 8, 6 and 4 points at the top of the climb. And we'll see then at the end of the day who will be in the mountains classification jersey.
So they are the final moments. Ricardo Toil here again. Ineos, you can see Ineos, one of the Ineos riders in the very end. Alpecin also, number 22, Leonard Bellman.
So they're just on this tiny ramp before the Porsche Berg. For 1.3k of hell.
And at the very end, the road up there is pretty small, pretty narrow. So that's going to be a huge part for the peloton here, and it's going to be again stretched.
Yeah, you got to be at the front of this peloton going into the Porsche Berg if you want to try and attack or go with any moves at the front. But it's obviously always easier said than done. Getting to the front of the peloton.
So you were able to see him.
Yeah, and the gap's not very big.
No, and the others are already caught by the peloton.
Yeah, it's got 5 seconds now.
5 seconds gap here.
Is alone. I don't think 5 seconds is going to be enough for him.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah, having another hopefully everything is good there. Another tight one.
You can see him just up the road there. I think it might get a bit tight for Beloki, the Spanish rider.
That was a good try.
A very good try, but the Porsche Berg is going to be the decider.
And here we are. That was the start of the Porsche Berg. The last huge task in that stage one for the riders of the 74th Tour of Austria. And you can see it am Porsche Berg. And now it is showtime. 7K to go. And everything is going to be looking towards UAE and Jayco Lidl-Trek. Or is there some surprise coming up?
So it looks like they're riding tempo at the front, quite a hard tempo.
Yeah.
As riders are getting dropped out the back of the peloton right now. It looks like we're hitting the slopes of 19.9%, the steepest of this climb. But it isn't a long one, it's 150 meters long in vertical meters.
And it's 1.3K long.
Just over 4 minutes. So it'll be interesting to see what's happening at the front of the group now.
Yeah, that would be amazing to see it. 3 hours and 38 minutes in the race, 7K to go. And you can see it, yeah. They're maxing the tempo there. Ineos 40, and we have Lidl-Trek here.
Oh, and we've got a
Paul Verlignac.
A cramp, it looks like, for Patrick Conrad, if I just saw that correctly.
Former stage winner of the Tour de France here, cramping on home turf.
Very bad place to cramp at.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
20% climb. Okay, what's happening at the front? It looks like a rider is... Yep.
There's one trying to get away there, and I guess it was a UAE jersey. I'm not quite sure yet there who is up there in front. Yeah.
This is definitely the decisive climb, but unfortunately now we're at the top of the KOM points, so we'll be able to see who comes over here first.
Yeah, it is those category 2 mountain classification, the deciding one, and as you can see here, it is pretty narrow up there. And then going into that last long 5K. Deciding, and here we are. Like, we can hear the spectators cheering already, and it is the big question: who is up front there? We have Ineos. We can see Ineos there. We can see XDS Astana, Lidl-Trek, and in front another Lidl-Trek athlete. Oh, it is.
It's very exciting.
Really exciting.
We have no idea who is at the front right now. Who is going to come around that bend first?
Here having the motorbikes.
I think they might have also been a bit scared if they sent a motorbike up in front of the race.
Here we are, EF Education.
Is it still?
It's still Beloki.
Wow.
Wow.
But the gap, there are two
UAE.
Are they two UAE riders?
Yeah, they're... yeah. Two UAE riders.
I think it might have been...
Großschartner, I guess.
I think it was Rafael Majka as well.
Oh, Rafael Majka, yeah.
It looked like Rafael Majka. I couldn't tell which UAE rider it was, but the gap to Beloki was not more than 5 seconds. But it is downhill now to the finish.
No, it was not Beloki. It was not Beloki. It was Archie Ryan.
Oh.
Archie Ryan from EF Education Easy Post used the momentum and did a breakaway here on the Porsche Berg. The last...
It's a 23-year-old.
Representing Ireland here, also pretty young athlete. But yeah, Tour de Romandie, 11th in the youth classification.
So now it goes downhill for him for the next 3K. We are within the last 5K, and then it is flat to the finish for the last two.
Now you have to like really put the head in there. And here we have Felix Großschartner.
Yeah, Felix Großschartner and Rafael Majka.
Yeah, Rafael Majka.
So that is great for Felix Großschartner now. He's got Rafael Majka in front of him to just dig as deep as possible, and then Großschartner can try and catch Ryan. There's 7 seconds according to my live timing.
7 seconds in the downhill, 5K to go. And he's all alone, having also a little bit of a wind from the side, as you can see here on the trees. And 7 seconds is just a glimpse. They can see him. And now Felix Großschartner is now doing the leading work. Yeah. TT specialist, TT national champion 2025, a couple of weeks ago.
And 3-time TT champion.
Yeah, 3-time TT champion.
3 times in a row, I think. 23,
24, and 25. And also with an outstanding performance there at the national championship, was able to ride like a 3-minute gap in a 13K.
Yeah. Yeah, incredible. So it's going to be very interesting if Ryan Archie's going to be able to hold off the two.
Well, that's not
powerhouses from UAE. And then it looks like a further 10 seconds back is the rest of the group. I'm not quite sure who is in that group at the moment.
But he is fighting pretty hard, but there they are.
And Emanuel Zangele was awarded the prize of for the most combative rider from Team Vorarlberg. So he will
start. And he will start tomorrow with the red number.
Okay, so the 2 UAE riders have caught up with Ryan Archie. Now, what are the team tactics going to be? Will they attack over the top with momentum?
They attack him, but that's
now we've got the short technical part of this stage with the 2 hairpin corners.
And Felix Großschartner looking back to Rafael Majka and Ryan Archie.
But where's Isaac Del Toro?
Yeah, that's also the big question. Where's Isaac Del Toro here on the first stage here? But maybe in that chase group.
They're also not far behind, are they? So
no,
they're not allowed to play many games at the front. No cat and mouse games at the front.
17 seconds, maybe a bit more. 2K to go here for those 3-man strong leading group. With Ireland, with Poland, and happy for the Austrian with Felix Großschartner in there.
Yeah, Felix is trying to get them working together, taking turns. There's only 2K to go, so
And then now you can see Rafael Michael is signing him. Now let's go. Come on, let's go. Here we have two Jaco Alula, one of EF Education, then Astana XDS. And now it's the moment where Felix Großschartner is attacking Rafael Michael and Ryan Archie, trying pretty hard to get away here. But Archie is glued nearly on the back wheel, coming to the Flamme Rouge. It is the last K here on the first stage here. It looks like it is going to be again a pretty intense fight here in the finish area. Felix Großschartner is having a gap about there will be 20 meter, 30 meter.
And is looking back. Ryan Archie is looking back. This is looking brilliant for
this
Felix
is amazing. That's wow. That's a win here on home turf on the first stage.
500 meters to go to the finish for Felix Großschartner, and he should bring this home now.
Oh, for sure, he should bring this home. Going,
because Rafael Michael's just got to sit on the wheel of Ryan Archie.
And he let them go, and here we
Felix
are.
Felix Großschartner is coming through.
Amazing. First stage here, stage win for Felix Großschartner for UAE Team Emirates XRG.
Incredible racing from UAE Team Emirates there and from Felix Großschartner. And we can see Rafael Michael in the background just overtaking Ryan Archie. And there you have your winner. Felix
here we are. And here we are. Next, coming up. You can see Isaac Del Toro here in the chase group. Coming to another sprint finish. And again, UAE on 2, 4, and 5.
Yeah, so 4 UAE riders up there, but incredible ride from Felix Großschartner on that Porsche Berg.
I can see 27, 28, 29, 30 seconds already. The gap to the chase group 2 here. And with another UAE Rinkhoff Advarix, you can see Jaco Alula, Team Vorarlberg, Coop Repsol. So that was an amazing performance by Team UAE. Tactical, on point, for sure.
Also a very good ride from Ryan Archie there in the final there.
Amazing.
To attack off solo, I think it could have been very interesting if it would have just been one UAE and one EF Education. UAE had an advantage of having Felix Großschartner and Michael Landa. Rafael Michael, sorry, up there with him, so yeah.
Everything worked out well. He got that well-deserved stage win, but nevertheless, that 167K were packed with, attack over attack over attack, with a long leading group, long breakaway group for more than 100K here, and with an amazing atmosphere in Steyr at the finish area in the Iron City.
Yeah, just look at those pictures of all the fans cheering on Felix Großschartner, an Austrian, winning in Austria. At the Tour of Austria.
Here we are. Yeah. I guess he's more than happy, and I guess he set a good direction regarding the stages coming up sure tomorrow. Here we are. Felix Großschartner, Rafael Majka, Ryan Archie, Filippo Baronzini, Isaac Del Toro on the 5th position, Lennart Kemner also 6th, Hector Alvarez 7, Felix Engelhardt 8, Andrew August representing the United States from Ineos on the 9th position, and Anton Jarming from XDS Astana 10.
So 16 seconds. Isaac Del Toro is behind Felix Großschartner.
Yeah.
Maybe UAE might ride for Felix Großschartner now, or they'll wait for the big mountains to decide. But
maybe the question about the leadership was now answered with that stage win by Felix.
And also So 9 seconds, 12, and Isaac Del Toro is 26 seconds behind. Obviously with the bonus seconds in the sprint.
Yeah, but also Kemna, Alvarez, Engelhardt, August.
Yeah, they're all very close together.
They all were close because they were in the same second arriving at the finish area, which means they are having the same.
Yeah, so if you arrive in a group at in the finish, then you get the same time as the first man over the line from that group.
So let's talk a little bit about that, what happened all day long. Starting with some already early attacks after 14K. We had the first sprint classification.
Yep.
Securing some points there for the riders, and then there was always like a back and forth to that moment where those 12-man strong breakaway group was formed and was leading with at max with 3 minutes gap to the peloton.
Yeah, it was quite a big fight to get a breakaway to go, and then they managed to get a 12-man breakaway away. Yeah. And they worked really well together, so good ride from the Conti team riders. It wasn't enough in the end. The World Tour riders managed to control the gap enough, and then there was an attack by Alpecin-Deceuninck, and they managed to get 4 riders away, but UAE managed to bring them back again.
UAE with those World Tour experience, not just riding-wise, also tactic-wise, but for sure also the Conti teams, the Austrian Conti teams performed on a high level, and you can see, or you could saw that this is going to be an interesting Tour of Austria with maybe tons of surprises coming up in the next stages. But for now, that stage was a good grand départ of the 74th Tour of Austria 2025.
Yeah, definitely. And also good to see the Austrian Conti teams getting their names out there, and you can see that they were hungry to try and perform, and maybe they'll be able to do something at this Tour of Austria 2025.
Here, Ricky Zeudel, you can see him. So just have a little overview about what is coming up the next days. Stage 2, Bischofshofen to St. Johann Alpendorf, 142.1 with 1,677 elevation meters, and with finish.
Yeah, a very interesting finish, I think.
Very interesting finish on top there. And it is St. Johann Alpendorf. It is the 16th Tour of Austria finish so far over the last years or decades. And we are then tomorrow again here on at 1 p.m. But now let's just enjoy those pictures which are provided here from the aerial footage. An amazing finish area and an amazing start off the Tour of Austria with some incredible riding. Just Ryan Archie securing the come up to the Porscheberg with a comfortable lead, like a comfortable lead of 20 seconds there. But then the fight of Felix Großschartner and Raphael Majka, who is probably right now in that tour in the position as a domestique for Großschartner. But maybe we will see what's coming up there with Isaac Del Toro and Filippo Baronchino. Lennart Kemna also someone to look at, and Hector Alvarez, and also Pucella, Emanuel Zangale, Alexander Konichev. All those are really put themselves in the spotlight today on that stage.
And it's also going to be interesting who's going to wear the mountain classification tomorrow and the splint classification jersey. I've lost a bit of count who's...
Yeah, and now we're hearing Felix Großschartner after his incredible stage win.
Herzliche Gratulation, wohl der größte Sieg jetzt seiner Karriere. Ein Heimsieg, wie fühlt es sich an?
Ja, na, super. Also ich habe das geplant, dass ich heute gleich gewinnen kann. Aber es geht natürlich.
Congratulations to an incredible home win. Yeah, he planned it to win here.
Bester Österreicher, deine ganze Familie ist da, deine Freundin ist da. Heißt das jetzt, du hast den Rückenwind für diese Woche von deinem Team?
Ja, ich meine, den habe ich
question
sowieso
is,
schon
do you
gehabt,
got
wir fahren nicht auf zwei
tailwind of your team here for the week?
Und ja, dass das heute schon so
And yes,
aufgeht,
I do have the tailwind of the team. It was not that perfect, but it is a long way to Sunday.
Gemacht, weil seit Lukas Böstelberger hat es keinen österreichischen Etappensieg mehr gegeben. Wie fühlt sich das jetzt an für dich? Ist da jetzt Luft raus, aber man sagt, okay, der Druck ist weg?
Lukas Böstelberger, there was no any stage wins by the Austrian. How does it feel right now? It feels amazing. It is beautiful to be after Lukas Böstelberger to be another stage winner here. Yeah, and with the words of Felix Großschartner, we also want to say thank you for streaming in. Thank you for watching the first stage of Tour of Austria. Thank you, Amelie, for being next to me. And we see us tomorrow from 1 p.m., something like that, on with the second stage here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was great fun today. I'm looking forward to doing it tomorrow again. Yeah. And I hope that you'll tune in again and watch the Tour of Austria Stage 2. And let's see if we can get some more interviews out. Otherwise, yeah, it was a...
This is it from our side. And it was an amazing day. Thank you.
Patrick Konrad, wie war die Etappe heute für dich?
Eigentlich gut, bis auf den letzten Anstieg, die letzten zwei. Aber nichtsdestotrotz, wir haben Lenny noch im CC dabei. Und ja, morgen neuer Tag, neues Glück.
It was not that perfect, especially at the last descent, but we are in the GC again.
Ja, sicherlich. Ich glaube, der letzte war der Lukas Böstelberger und ich glaube, es ist immer gut für einen heimischen
Radsport
beim Heimrennen,
to bring home the win here in Austria, and it is amazing for the local cycling sport to have another Austrian after Lukas Böstelberger to be the win here. And now let's see how long he will be in the GC jersey, in the overall jersey, in the red one. And then on Sunday we will decide it. So that was Patrick Konrad, former stage winner of the Tour de France, and now it is really our time to say goodbye to everyone out there all around the globe for watching the Tour of Austria Stage 1, and we're happy to see you again tomorrow back here when it comes to the Stage 2. Bischofshofen, St. John Alpendorf, and now we tune in to the highlights of the day, I guess.
10. Juli, 14:50 Uhr war es ganz genau, da hat sie geschlagen. Die ganz große Stunde von Felix Großschartner, beziehungsweise eigentlich die ganz großen letzten Minuten. Es war unglaublich spannend, es war ein packendes Finale und es war vor allem ganz großer Radsport. Wir dürfen Sie nochmals recht herzlich begrüßen bei uns hier im Tour of Austria Club. Und bei mir sind jetzt zum einen Stefan Sölkner, mit dem wir uns ja vorher schon unterhalten haben, vor der Etappe, und Christian Böhmer, seines Zeichens Sportdirektor bei Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Die beiden waren jetzt viele Stunden auch im Einsatz als Analytiker. Der Christian zum Beispiel an der Seite von Peter Brunner im ORF und Stefan Sölkner an der Seite von Uwe Holle. Männer, ich glaube, hat richtig Spaß gemacht, heute da mitzukommentieren, Stefan, oder?
War auf jeden Fall eine sehr, sehr spannende erste Etappe und endlich die Erlösung für einen österreichischen Etappensieg. Knapp 10 Jahre hat es gedauert, aber ja, endlich haben wir wieder einen heimischen Etappensieger.
Christian, wie siehst du diese Etappe? Vor allem, wie siehst du die Aktion auch von UAE, wie sie dieses Rennen heute gelesen haben und wie souverän sie vor allem am Ende dieses Rennen auch nach Hause gefahren sind?
Ich glaube, Stefan, von gelesen kann keine Rede sein. Die haben das Rennen geschrieben aus meiner Sicht. Und zwar genau nach dem Plot, den sie sich vorher vorgenommen haben. Felix Großschartner, lange Jahre Schützling von mir im Bora Hansgrohe-Team. Ich habe natürlich mit ihm vorher Kontakt gehabt. Wir haben vorher ein bisschen gesprochen. Und nachdem ich hier nicht als sportlicher Leiter am Start bin, sondern wie du vorher gesagt hast, als Kommentator, war er natürlich auch ganz ehrlich und hat mir seinen Plan verraten. Und ich kann Ihnen nur sagen, er hat heute diesen Plan 1:1 umgesetzt. Er hat genau das gemacht, was er machen wollte. Und aus meiner Sicht war das wirklich heute ein kleiner Durchbruch für Felix, weil das ist ihm in dieser Form ganz selten gelungen, dass er einen Plan so genau umsetzt, vom Start bis ins Ziel. Gratulation an Felix Großschartner, Gratulation an sein UAE-Team.
Also da ist er richtig emotional, der Christian, aufgrund der Tatsache, dass er eben einige Jahre auch mit Felix Großschartner trainiert hat. Stefan, du hast während der Übertragung unter anderem das Wort Weltklasse in den Mund genommen bei Felix Großschartner, was vor allem auch das Zeitfahren betrifft. War das am Ende das Zünglein an der Waage, während wir jetzt, glaube ich, einige Bilder von der Siegerehrung gerade sehen? Ja, absolut erhabener Moment für Felix, den Großen, Stefan.
Genau, das war zum Schluss dann sicher entscheidend. Er hat zwar mit Raphael Majka einen Teamkollegen an der Seite gehabt. Er hätte das Loch zu Archie Ryan vermutlich aber alleine nicht mehr geschlossen bekommen und mit der Hilfe von Felix Großschartner hat er sich da quasi selber den Sieg auch vorbereitet.
Ja, Majka hat wieder einmal gezeigt, warum er, obwohl er nicht mehr der Allerjüngste ist, immer noch einer der wichtigsten Helfer eigentlich auch sein kann.
Genau, ich habe das in der ORF-Übertragung bei Peter Brunner gesagt. Raphael Majka, ebenfalls einer unserer Schützlinge im Bora-Team gewesen. Rafa hat jahrelang versucht, selbst auf Klassement zu fahren, wurde belohnt auch mit einem 3. Gesamtplatz bei der Vuelta, bei der Spanien-Rundfahrt. Dann aber bei Bora Hansgrohe ein bisschen an dem Druck, an dem Erwartungsdruck gescheitert, immer Schwierigkeiten gehabt. Und der hat sich jetzt in der Helferrolle wirklich gefunden und da ist er einer der Besten der Welt. Und wenn ein Rennfahrer wie Felix Großschartner in der Form, die er jetzt hat, so einen Helfer zur Seite hat, dann sieht man genau, was dabei rauskommt. Da kann man nur gewinnen.
Stefan, gewonnen hat aber nicht nur eben der Felix, sondern die gesamte UAE-Mannschaft. 4 unter den besten 5. Stellt sich da jetzt nach der ersten Etappe schon die Frage, wer kann diese Mannschaft überhaupt stoppen?
Sie haben ja das Rennen auch kontrolliert und dementsprechend 2 Fahrer nur für die Kontrolle des Rennens schon gebraucht und trotzdem waren es 4 Fahrer unter die ersten 5. Das ist eigentlich eine Wahnsinnsleistung. Da hat eigentlich nur mehr ein Fahrer, der vielleicht fürs Finale dabei gewesen wäre, der Alessandro Covi, etwas ausgelassen. Aber sonst, wenn sie so weiterfahren, können sie sich fürs Gesamtklassement